What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I am sharing the newest collection from Starrily, which is called the Chronometry collection. But before we get into that, if you haven't heard of Starrily before, they are an independent nail polish brand that is based in the US, and all of their polishes are 10 free, meaning they are free of 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They are vegan, meaning they do not use any animal-derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. So they just released this new collection. It's a time-inspired collection, and we've got 6 brand new nail polishes, 3 of which are magnetic polishes and 3 are specialty shimmer polishes. I was really intrigued when I saw this collection. One, because I love how Starrily just leans into these kind of nerdy collection themes. I think it's just such a fun and unique way to approach nail polish, but also because I think the colors are just really striking. They don't necessarily feel like summer shades. They're actually giving me a little bit more of like a fall winter kind of vibe, but I was still really excited to try them because I am a huge fan of magnetic nail polishes, and I'm also a huge fan of Starrily's formula. So let me dive into these swatches first, then we can get into my thoughts on them, pricing, availability, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Orly Bonder base coat. Starting off with the magnetic shades, this first color is called Atomic Clock, and it is a really beautiful blue and silver polish. So when it's unmagnetized, it honestly just looks like this really icy silvery white blue, and that silver pigment in there actually ends up looking fairly warm against that blue pigment. So it almost has what looks like either a golden sheen or maybe like a little slight hollow glow, but it is actually silver. So I was really curious to see what this one would look like once I magnetized it. So I did 2 coats for coverage, and then I magnetized the 3rd coat, and when I pulled away that magnet, I was so pleased with how this looked. All of that gorgeous silvery, warm, almost champagne-y glitter pulled to the center, and it left behind all of this beautiful blue. It did have a slight sheerness to it, but honestly, I like that kind of look when it comes to magnetic polishes, but I feel like you can always apply another coat to magnetize if you don't love that. But I also wanted to try it in the velvet style of magnetization, and I was also really pleased with the way that looked. It almost gave a little bit of like a gradient effect where some of that pigment looked really yellowy, almost gold, and then it faded into that silver and then into the blue. So it was really stunning both ways, honestly. Next up, we have the shade Quartz Crystal, and this one is a really beautiful, dusty, pinky purple jelly base that is totally packed with this silver magnetic shimmer. And when I see magnetic polishes like this, to me, they just feel like they are meant to be done in the velvet style just because they have that sort of velvety look to them. It's honestly hard to describe, but I was curious to try it in the cat eye style first. So again, I applied 2 coats for coverage, and then I applied a 3rd to magnetize. I do have a video all about magnetics, by the way. If you're unfamiliar with them, I'll link it up in the cards. But once I pulled away that magnet, I could see just how intense and jelly-like that base color was, and it pulled all of that silver pigment to the center. So it gave a really cool 3-dimensional effect, but again, to me, this one just screamed velvet style, so that's what I tried out next, and I love the way that it looks. I love this type of silvery shimmer in this type of base because it really almost gives a textured kind of look. Even though it is smooth, it looks like it would feel very soft and velvety on the nails, so I always think that's really fun. The way that I like to do it is I like to hover the magnet around until all of that silver pigment is on the top layer, so it really gives this cool 3-dimensional effect. And then the 3rd and final magnetic is this one, Hourglass, and this one is a little bit different. It's actually this blackened purple shimmer that has a very subtle silver magnetic pigment running throughout, and I have to say, this one was full coverage in 1 coat. If I was not magnetizing this, I would just wear it in 1 coat. So I ended up magnetizing the 2nd coat for this one, and when I pulled away the magnet, you could see that all of the silver pigment kind of pulled to the center, and it really left that purple shimmer shining so beautifully. I will say this was a more subtle kind of color. You can see that the 3D effect isn't as prominent as the other ones in this collection, but I still think it gave a really beautiful effect, and I feel like it's almost very nebulous to me. It looks like kind of a galaxy manicure, so I think this would actually be a really beautiful base for a galaxy manicure, and you could just add in little stars. But again, I wanted to try this one in the velvet style as well, and I did find this to be a more subtle look overall, but I still think it's really pretty. It kind of pulled all of that silver pigment to the top layer, so you could just see a little bit more of that shimmer and a little bit more depth of color that way. Moving on to the non-magnetic finishes, we have this shade Clepsydra, and I gotta say, when I saw the promo photos of this one, I was a little bit nervous because this one is a sheer polish, and I feel like sometimes that is hard to pull off, but this one I actually ended up being really impressed with. So we have this really beautiful, slightly grayed out blue base, and then within that we've got these gorgeous, intense, tiny blue flakies running throughout, and I actually ended up really liking the way that this looked in 2 coats. I was worried it was going to take at least 3 coats to look like this level of opacity, but it ended up actually being perfect, and just out of curiosity, I also wanted to apply a 3rd coat, and I was even more pleased with that. I feel like it really intensified the color, but you could still see a little bit of that milky sheerness in it, where it didn't feel patchy at all, but it did make the color appear a little bit softer. So I really enjoyed it both ways. I feel like it kind of just depends on my mood for how I would wear it. And then we've got another blue shade. This one is called Astrolabe, and this one is definitely the opposite. It's a really deep sapphire blue shimmer that almost has a little bit of that lit from within kind of glow, because around the edges you can see it's a deep dark color, but when the light hits it, that shimmer is just so beautiful. And I was actually really impressed with the opacity on this one as well. It was almost a 1 coater on me, but I did end up needing a 2nd. I did notice that this one does have that very slight brush strokiness to it, so you do need to be careful on that final coat, but the end result is really gorgeous. And last but not least, we have another favorite of the collection. This is Sundial, and this one is a really stunning orangey gold metallic shimmer. And I have to say, I think all of my favorite gold metallic polishes are from Starrily. Every single one that they have created has been just so stunning and perfect to me, and I love the little variations that they have between each of their golds. Maybe I should do a comparison on that someday, but this is another stunning one. I'm so excited to add it to my collection because it just feels so rich, and it feels like a perfect accent kind of color, but it also works really well on its own, and I think it'll also work very well for nail art. So I got perfect coverage on this one in 2 coats, and clearly I'm in love with it. So yeah, that is the full collection. We've got the magnetic polishes on the top, and then we have the other specialty finishes on the bottom, and I have to say, I am just especially enamored by these magnetics. I think that the color combinations are really stunning, and I think that the end result looks really beautiful as well. I also love the bottom row of polishes. It's kind of funny because I feel like these are colors we have been seeing a decent amount from Starrily, but there's just subtle variations on them that make them special and different, so I really appreciate that. And like I said, I really love the theming of this collection. I think all of the names are really fun. They're actually all inspired by different timepieces throughout history, and if you go on Starrily's website, they actually have a little description of what each one means on their listings. So if you're curious about what the names of any of these means, check it out. I feel like I'm always learning something when I'm using Starrily polishes. So very cute theme, very cute vibes, and even though I was a little bit nervous about these not being summery, even though they're being released in the summer, I feel like a lot of them I can make work. Hourglass and Astrolabe I would say are a little bit on the darker side, but the rest feel like they could really work for brighter summery days. So I feel like I'm gonna play around with them a lot more, but I'm especially excited to wear them in the later months because they also distinctly feel very fall winter to me. So just overall, a really impressive collection. So those are the polishes, and like I said, I love these shades overall. I just think that they're so striking. They're really interesting to look at, especially the magnetics. I just love the colors of them, and I really loved the formulas of these polishes as well. Even the shimmers that didn't have the magnetic pigment were just so beautiful and so eye-catching on the nail. And after trying them, I do feel like for the most part I can make them work for summer, but I'm also definitely excited to wear these when the colder months come because I feel like they just seem so perfect for that. There's almost like this, I don't know how to describe it, it's almost like a dark academia vibe, and I really love that. So yeah, now let's get into pricing and availability. All of these polishes come in 15 milliliter bottles. They do have a wide flat brush, but it looks like we actually got a new brush for this collection. These actually have a rounded tip, so application is even easier than usual, and they retail on the Starrily website for $16 USD each. I do have a discount code, so you can use the code KELLI for 10% off, and they also do have a discounted rate if you buy all 6 of the polishes. So the set of all of them is $87 USD. So I'm gonna link everything down below. You can check that out if you're you're interested. I also want to make a quick note, because we have 3 magnetic polishes in this collection, you do need to purchase the magnet separately. If you already own a magnet, you can use that. It doesn't matter which brand it's from, as long as it is a nail polish magnet, it will work on these polishes. But if you don't already own a magnet, you do need to buy that. So I just wanted to let you guys know in case you were new to magnetics. I do actually have a big video on magnetics. If you're interested in checking that out, I will link it in the cards. But I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this collection? What do you think of the inspiration? What do you think of the colors? Which is your favorite? Leave it all in the comments. We can chat about it. And if you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. And of course, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon, my royal astronomer Amanda M, as well as my cosmic admirals Ken, Rosie, and Angel. I really appreciate your support, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Pookie Bear, and Pookie Bear wants to know, do you have any color combos or formulas that you've been gravitating towards recently? Yeah, actually, weirdly enough, I feel like I've recently been in such a classic nail polish color mood. For a while, I was really focusing on coral shades, and now I'm kind of getting into pink shades, which is honestly kind of funny because if you know me, you know I like really funky colors usually. So this definitely feels like a departure from my usual. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I feel like it probably has a lot to do with the fact that my hair color is this kind of faded brownish red now on the bottom, because I feel like those colors match it. So maybe I need to re-dye it and then I can go back to some funkier nail colors. I don't know why. I'm wearing a pink cream right now, and I feel like I've been wearing just like a lot of corals and even like dustier kind of corals and oranges recently. So I don't know, feels kind of funky, but I think it's going to be very fun when I go back to my funky colors, because it's going to feel even more different than usual because I'm so used to these like classic kind of colors now, you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely been wearing a lot of these. I'll probably get into like more blue tones for the rest of the summer, just because I feel like that's very summery vibes to me. But you know what I've also been weirdly getting into is multi-chromes. I feel like I kind of forgot about them for a while, but lately I've just been wanting them a lot. So I've been enjoying wearing those as well. But let me know what your current color phase is right now in the comments. We can chat about it, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.